Good morning. Welcome to Carol's Books and Storytime. I want to tell you a story today from my new book called Max the Incredible Cat, and it's published on Amazon, so you can get it on Amazon and read all about Max. Now, this story is called Max and the Mountain Lion, an art lesson and a huge paw print. Max, the Maine Coon Cat, sat on the sunniest windowsill of the kindergarten classroom. The windows were open and a soft, warm autumn breeze ruffled his fur. His pride and joy, his fluffy tail, hung down almost touching the dahlias in the flower bed. Gently he twitched his tail from side to side as he watched through narrowed eyes what was going on in Barbara's classroom. Barbara was an artist, and she often went into the kindergarten to paint and do crafts with the children. His ears twitched from time to time as he sensed that his enemies, the blue jays, were very busy about their daily business, and on this particular morning it happened to bring them close to the school and the school gardens. Max was very wary of the blue jays ever since that morning when he tried to steal their babies from the nest in the old plum tree by the creek. They had seized every opportunity to tease him and scold him and dive bomb him, and from time to time he stole a furtive look over his shoulder just to make sure that neither Mama or Papa Blue Jay would yield to temptation and tweak his tail. He could see them busy digging for worms and insects in the school's freshly dug flower beds. They seemed busy, but he did not trust them one little bit after the plum and dive bombing incident when they had not let him out of the house for what seemed to him like weeks. Oh, yes, Max had suffered at the beaks of these ferocious birds, and he continued to suffer. He didn't trust them, and they certainly did not trust him. What Max seemed to forget was that it was his fault that the blue jays were treating him so badly. What he had done to the blue jays had made them his sworn enemies. He had tried to eat their babies. Max shrugged and licked his lips with the end of his very pink tongue as he remembered the lovely little nest in the old plum tree and the 4 hungry baby birds lifting their beaks up, ready to be fed. What a pity I didn't manage to eat them, he thought to himself. Tasty little morsels, baby blue jays, and he grinned wickedly to himself. Max was very interested in what Barbara, the artist, was doing with the children. Ever since he had tried to help her paint the mural on Rod and Lilene's bedroom wall, he'd taken a real interest in art. And because Barbara had forgiven him for peeing on her beautiful purple jacket, he had decided that if ever Lilene and Rod did not want him about anymore, he would just move in with Barbara and help her with her creations, and he grinned to himself with satisfaction. Oh, yes! Barbara was a good sort. To show she had forgiven him for messing up her mural, she had painted a picture of Max chasing a mouse through the field of sunflowers on Rod and Lilene's bedroom wall. Max, was delighted with the final mural, especially the portrayal of him in the guise of the cunning hunter that he was. Pity about the blue jays and the great fish that lived in the creek. They seemed elusive to his amazing claws and fearsome jaws, but mice and rats. Max was the supremo hunter of the rodent family, and they feared him. Max flicked his ears backwards as he heard the sound of wind rushing through feathers, and quickly he pulled his tail inside the window. Mama Blue Jay swooped like a fighter pilot on her target, missed, then pulled herself into a roll, then an upward climb. Phew! Max meowed to himself. That was close, too close. It gets to something when a chap can't sit on a windowsill and let his tail hang down outside without getting it attacked. And from the maple tree, Papa Blue Jay screamed with laughter. Ha-ha! Watch out, Maxie! She will have that tail off you one day. It doesn't pay to make my wife angry. Don't you know mothers are very protective? Don't you know that they have extremely strong memories, especially when it comes to dastardly deeds done to their children? Max turned and poked his head out the window. Opening his mouth, he let out a long meow, which quavered up and down. Don't you guys know that you should forgive? Don't you think you've punished me enough? You really are despicable birds, so unforgiving. Besides, I was only admiring your beautiful babies. I wasn't going to eat them. I was only looking. That is a big fat lie, Max, and you know it is, screamed Papa Bluejay. You are a despicable cat, Max. Despicable? Oh no, my little blue-feathered tormentor of tales. You've got it all wrong. I am not despicable. Papa Bluejay was angry, so angry he nearly fell off the branch of the tree where he was sitting. You never learn from your mistakes, Max, he shrieked. Max sniffed. He hated to be criticised for his actions, which, after all, according to Max, were well-intentioned. So exactly what mistakes are you talking about, Mr. Bluejay? He sneered. I am Monsieur Max, the Maine Coon Cat. I never make mistakes. Papa Bluejay was so furious with Max's attitude. He danced up and down on the branch, trying to calm himself down. He was sorely tempted to fly down and peck Max's ears so hard he'd fall off the window into the flower bed and scratch himself on the rose bushes. But that would mean squashing the dahlias. Papa Bluejay liked dahlias. There was always plenty of great creepy crawlies around dahlias that made a tasty snackerum. Instead, he calmed himself down, cocked his head on one side, and thought for a full 60 seconds about what he was going to say next. Max raised a cat eyebrow. Well, he drawled, give me some examples. You seem to be wanting to be my conscience all of a sudden, Papa Bluejay. Papa Bluejay took a deep breath. Look what you did to Barbara's mural. Look at the way you treated Trixie. Look at look at the way you ran away. Look at the way you nearly killed yourself by slipping on the little tiger moth airplane. If Rodney hadn't caught you in time, you'd have fallen to your death. Everybody forgave you. Everybody made a fuss of you. Whilst that is happening, you are happy. To be number one is your aim in life. And to have everyone dancing around you and paying attention to you is what you want in life. You're an attention seeker, Max, squawked Mama Bluejay, landing beside her husband. You are such a good actor, you make people sorry for you. Well, I can see through your little game, Max. I don't trust you as much as a feather falling out of my wing. Max opened his mouth to protest, but Papa was too quick for him and held up a wing. But... No buts, Max. You just listen for once. In one of your 9 lives, Max, you never learn from your mistakes. What mischief are you planning now? I know it's mischief because your tail was twitching backwards and forwards, and that always means trouble for other people. No, it doesn't. It means that I'm concentrating, Max meowed. Huh. Papa Bluejay shrugged his blue feathers. Concentrating on more mischief, more as like. Mischief? Oh no, my little blue-feathered friend. I am a reformed character, didn't you know? Number one, my furry friend, I am not your friend, and you are not my friend, and we can never ever be friends after what you tried to do to our babies. I don't for 1 minute think you're a reformed cat, squawked Papa Bluejay. Oh, such harsh words, murmured Max. Such harsh words from such a sweet little creature. You make my heart bleed purple peanut butter with your harsh words, Papa Bluejay. Like purple peanut butter? I'll make your heart bleed like purple peanut butter, Max. Papa Bluejay's squawks were rising in a crescendo. What a load of drivel comes from your furry little mouth. No one can believe anything you say. The trust your fellow creatures had in you is gone. Gone, you hear me? Gone. No need to shout. I'm not deaf. I hear you loud and clear. Leave me alone, Puppet Blue Jay. I do not need you to keep telling me off for something that happened last spring, nor do I need the constant attacks I get from you and your wife. That Papa Blue Jay chattered angrily in the maple tree. I don't need you guys sneaking up on me and tweaking my tail when I'm trying to learn something, trying to better myself. Don't you know I'm in school trying to learn alongside the children? That'll be the day you learn something, squawked Papa Blue Jay as he gathered his feathers together and sailed away into the autumn blue to find seeds to eat. That will be the day, Max. I'll believe it when I see you, called Mamma, as she too flew off to hunt for food. How rude, Max growled to himself. I learn all the time. I'm always listening to the teachers in this school. Why, that's how I can speak French so very well, because when Madame comes to teach the children, I listen and I learn. In French, Madame always calls me Monsieur Max le Grand Chat. She points at me and says, Voici le Grand Chat. And the children say, Voici Monsieur Max. Max purred to himself with satisfaction. Monsieur Max le Grand Chat. Now that was a title worthy of a cat like him. Oh, yes, very worthy indeed. He savoured the thought and said the words over once more in his mind. Monsieur Max le Grand Chat. What a superb title. And the Le Grand Chat is me, Max, the Maine Coon Cat. Max turned his attention back to the classroom. He could see that on each small table Barbara had placed a bowl of washable paste, scraps of material, some small boxes, and the cardboard tubes insides of toilet and kitchen rolls. Max's eyes lit up. How he loved to play with cardboard tubes. Silently he jumped off the windowsill and on quiet paws he strolled towards the nearest table. Out of the corner of his eye he could see the kindergarten assistant, Shannon, Barbara and the class teacher all helping the children to put on their craft aprons, ready to start work. The bright red and blue aprons covered the children from their wrists up to their shoulders and from their shoulders right down to their knees. Children, what have we got to remember when we're using scissors and glue? Asked Barbara. Concentrate on what we're doing and keep the scissors safe and not mess about with the glue, chorused the children. Well done, said Barbara. We have a job to do to make these little people ready for our field of man, like I showed you in the pictures. Every person is different, just as you're all different. Who can remember the name of the artist that got all these people to make the little figures for the field of man installation? Joshua put up his hand and Barbara nodded. Sir Anthony Gormley, Miss Barbara. Great, praised Barbara. Well done, Joshua. You're right, it was Anthony Gormley. How can anyone remember anything else? Such Anthony Gormley made. A blonde, pigtailed little girl held up a hand. Yes, Jenny, the Angel of the North, Miss Barbara. Barbara nodded and smiled at me. Angel of the North, Max muttered to himself. What was the Angel of the North got to do with California? Where does Anthony Gormley, what's his face, come from anyway? That was Barbara's next question. What country does Sir Anthony Gormley come from, children? Your country, Miss Barbara. The United Kingdom, they chorused. Barbara beamed. You guys are so clever, she said, smiling at them. Clever, my eye, Max mewed softly. This guy, Anthony Gormley, what's his face, should have been American, not British. All good things in the world come out of the US of A. Much as I love Barbara, she is a Brit, and Brits do not understand us Americans. But I do love Barbara's accent, the way she speaks. English is amazing, but she hasn't a clue about spelling. Oh my, she even spells colour wrongly. She spells it C-O-L-O-U-R. No, lady, you should spell it how you say it, C-O-L-O-R. Then she always says maths instead of math. Max shook his furry head, sighed a deep sigh. We have to excuse her, because she's British, and she doesn't understand us Americans. He growled to himself as he jumped onto the nearest table and batted one of the tubes. Slowly it rolled to the edge of the round table and fell with a tiny thud on the floor. Now, if you want to hear more about Max, then you know what to do. Go on to Amazon and buy my book. Take care. Bye.